Hey, what's up, everybody? This is an open discussion with C3 Films. My name is Chris, and this is.
Cheryl.
And today we are talking about the Disney animated movie Encanto. So we are going to be going into spoiler territory. So if you haven't seen it, it is on Disney Plus. Go check it out, go watch it, and then come back and watch our show. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this. As far as Encanto goes, this was a movie I was telling you on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/C3Films, that I didn't know much about the movie, but I expected to like it more so than I was expecting to like either some of the other movies you watched, like The Adam Project or Turning Red. But I did not know what it was about, and I did not know how much I was going to enjoy it. And this, like the latest group of films that we sat down and watched, have all come as pleasant surprises to me, and also they have been just a lot of fun. When I watched Encanto, I was like, "There's no way this is going to be as enjoyable as Turning Red was," and I was like nervous because I was like, "Man, this is not. I shouldn't have watched both these movies back to back." But it's a different movie, but it's a musical like Disney films tend to be. But I still really enjoyed it. This movie was a lot of fun for me.
Right? They were both good, right? And like, how often does that happen where we get two animated movies coming out so close together and they're both really good? And they're also both one of those movies where there's no like actual villain,
Yep,
and it's really just like a drama between characters.
family.
And I think I'm really liking that, route of, for a plot is not actually having a villain, because I think it gives more layers to the characters, especially the ones who are serving as an antagonist. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
like real life, people are not, as black and white as, the olden days of film writing. So I think it's a
Mm-hmm.
good movement in the sense of character development and driving the films using characters, which is really what they both are. They're just character driven films with a lot of extra pizzazz.
Right, 100%. Like it's so true. And like I was talking a little bit about how Turning Red had some more adult related jokes in the movie, but this one, like in true Disney fashion, it's not a Disney movie unless a parent dies. And that is exactly how the movie opens. It opens with the death of the man that would be the grandfather of the generations to come that we observe in this movie. The movie is really interesting in that it's about this big, giant family all living in one roof that gets different powers, and then the main character that we follow, Maribel, she doesn't have a gift. She doesn't have powers. But whereas when we watched Turning Red, that was about like the women in the family getting this gift or curse, how you ever you want to look at it. And this one, it wasn't relegated to any gender. It was something that was bequeathed to anybody that was born in the family. And for whatever reason, Maribel is the only one that didn't get it. And in this movie, they have everyone that has powers has a door that gives them their own room. But Maribel is living in the nursery with with her nephew. So, or I guess is that would it be her cousin?
Second
It's
cousin.
her. It's her cousin. Yeah, it's her cousin.
Second cousin.
Um, second cousin. Yeah. So like, and that's just how it is. And so when the movie gets going is because of the fact that the magic that is giving them all their abilities is going away. And so now Maribel goes on this she has this Mulan moment where she's about to be like, yo, we're packing up, we're about to go solve this problem, and then she's like, wait a second, where am I going? And I love that moment. I was just like, yes, like you're everything you need to solve this problem is in this house. You don't need to go anywhere. So I love that the movie played with that.
Yeah. Sorry, actually, I was thinking about it. I think you're right. I think it's just cousin. But anyway, I do think, like, about the family, though, I kind of thought it was cool that we were, getting to see a bigger scope of family. because
Mm-hmm.
at least that's how it is for me. I'm very close to my extended family, and we did all live in the same house together like that. So in the sense, I felt like it was relatable for me because of that, and I thought it was kind of cool that we're getting to see a movie where we don't just see parents and the kids, but it's like
Yeah.
the grandmother and her kids, and then their kids, and that's just a really cool thing to see because I think like I don't really know how the culture is like in America outside of people of color families. So I know a lot of different cultures are like that where they're just very close to their extended family. Um, but we definitely barely see that in movies. So I just wanted to give a nod to that because I think it's a very common thing for families to be very close to their extended families. It's like a
Yeah.
thing, like
100% right.
yeah, like I see my cousins as like sisters and brothers, and I don't think that's a very common for like American families, but definitely for people of color.
Yeah, and no, like in this movie where it showcases these these sisters that live together, and they also live with their cousins, and they have these close knit relationships. And one of the great things that this movie does that I was not expecting once I was getting into the movie was that it actually actively makes it a goal to give a song per sister, and then also it plays around with the song with like the uncle, excuse me, the auntie and her kids and stuff like that. But like the sisters of Maribel, they get like Luisa and Isabella, like they get like one-on-one interaction songs that reveal who they are as characters. And that was one of those things that I really enjoyed. Like you have this big, strong character who's the oldest sister, but she feels like she has to carry the weight of the entire family on her shoulders. And her song is about basically trying to like make it so that Maribel doesn't have to worry about anything because she'll take it all on, but she has to learn how to like let it go. She doesn't have to always be strong, and then her losing her powers like kind of necessitates that and kind of shows that even more so. And then the whole like thing about Isabella, like when I was seeing her in those scenes and where she has that moment when they say, "Oh yeah, he wants to have 5 kids with you," and like the flowers pop out of her hair, I was like, she doesn't want to marry him. She doesn't actually want this. And the fact that they played with the idea that Maribel sees her sister, a girl that she lives with and like experiences every day, and still doesn't really know her. Still looks at her and just like, "Oh, you're this perfect, and I this is why we hate each other," and blah blah blah. But like Isabella's like, "Yo, I don't want to be perfect." And then this, you want to talk about crossover themes? That was all about what Turning Red was about. Like, this is a character who actively has to be perfect on a regular basis, and the pressure is crushing her, and all she wants to do is cut loose. And so she's happy when she's just making imperfect flowers and like rolling around in like tie dye, and that's when she's the happiest. And I love that element of the movie.
Yeah, we have another situation where all the characters kind of being controlled by one character who is the antagonist of the film, but is also not a villain, just an
Yes,
antagonist. So,
yes.
so yeah, and I think that Louisa is like one of the best characters in my. She's my favorite character.
She's so
Um,
great. She's so
yeah.
great.
So a little fun fact for you: when they were, marketing the film, they were expecting kids to want Isabella dolls, but they actually wanted Louisa dolls. And I was like, oh, I wonder why. Who wouldn't want a doll of like a super cool, strong female character with the best song in the movie? I don't care what the the billboards say. But another fun fact for you: we don't talk about Bruno beat out the record for Let It Go from Frozen is
Oh,
like, yeah, it's more popular than Let It Go. I don't know if you've heard it like everywhere, but it's super catchy. And watching it the second time, I could really see why that's such a good song. Um,
that's hilarious because my roommate and I, while watching the movie, we were like listening to all the songs and judging them while we went, and then we got to like we don't talk about Bruno, and we just said this is our favorite song. And I didn't know, I didn't hear any of the music about this movie beforehand, by the way. But like when we watched the movie, the two songs that we liked the most were "We Don't Talk About Bruno" and Isabella's song that she sings. And let's be
is
real, Isabella is
Isabella?
just Flower Elsa, so of course people don't need her like plushie as
Oh,
much as they need Louisa, who's more unique.
interesting. Because Luisa's song is the song, second most popular song from this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if that one beat out Let It Go, but it's up there. So, um, but anyway, to talk about that song, the reason why I think it was really interesting is because like a lot of things were happening in that
Mm-hmm.
song. So it wasn't just a song, but like it was also an integral part of the story, where they were like, introducing a little bit more about the character Bruno, obviously, but then we were also learning more about how, what happened in the past, a little
Mm-hmm.
bit more about the characters, Isabella um, and the love triangle with the cousin. That is when I think it was kind of first introduced that there was going to be a love triangle there. Not like a huge deal love triangle, but I think it's those little
Yeah.
details that add to the story. Like that is not just something they just threw in there. So
Yeah.
it's really giving value to, or not value, but like more substance to the story. And then I also thought like any time where you have a song where more than one person is singing different melodies and they're
Mm-hmm.
overlapping and it's forming some ensemble harmony, that is very, very hard to do. And I think that's why people um, really like the song so much, is because usually when that happens, like that's like some Tony level stuff where you get awards for like writing songs like that. So, and they really did that at the end where like they were all like overlapping and stuff like that. It's a good song. I still like
Yeah.
Luisa's song better, but that's just because I think I'm a little biased towards her. But I do like the way the song sounds. So it's sketchy.
No, yeah. Like, and I think that overall the music was great. Like, I was hoping they would have at least one song in Spanish, and I got two. So I was like, okay, sweet, let's go. Um, so I had a lot of fun watching and listening to the music of this of the movie, and also like the characters, like when just taken separately. Like, I love Luisa as a character. She just warmed my heart, and I love the fact that the end of the movie was, yeah, you got your strength back, but take a load off. We got you. Learn to relax. When she says the whole thing of, I'm strong, but I cry sometimes. They're like, me too. Yes, exactly. You can be strong and vulnerable, but you also can relax. You don't have to you don't have to do everything for us. And I just, I enjoyed the fact that for a movie that has so many characters, and a lot of movies these days have trouble juggling so many characters in a good way. I mean, we just watched the Eternals a little while ago, and that movie is over 2 hours long. This movie is much shorter than that and has arguably just as many characters, but still does a decent enough job of making us care enough. Like, we don't get to know the intricate details of all these different characters. I mean, um, we get to know about like the grandmother, her story, Maribel, Bruno, but like the characters like Maribel's parents, they don't really get much to do in the movie outside of just kind of being there. But the movie still does a decent enough job to have us care in some kind of way about most of the main cast. At least I feel that way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that has to do with the opening song where Mirabelle is kind of telling the kids, like the town kids, about her family, and they kind of go
Mm.
down the family tree and like what everyone's gift is. So like it's all established in one song, and so that is an easy montage to explain. Um, and establish characters in just like 3 minutes. So that was like a, I mean, it's a musical, so it's totally fine to do that. And it's a good tool to use, but it was also a good song, and it was a fun way to introduce everyone. Um,
Mm.
I mean, I don't know. I think like the music is just really good. It's a really good tool in general for any musical to just speed along and give information. And I think surprisingly, some of the best songs and the best scenes that are in this movie is when a lot of things happen really fast within minutes. And another
Yeah.
example that is not through a song, but it was the dinner proposal, where like a lot of things were going on. Like you find out about the the dad is trying to help his daughter hide the prophecy that Bruno made, and like the information is slowly going around the table, and in the meantime, um, the guy is trying to propose to Isabella. All this stuff going
Hmm.
on. So I thought that was a really fun scene to have as well. Just having all the kinds of stuff going on at once.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely amazing. And like the another thing that the movie does, I mean, I've been kind of talking about it already, but like to go in further in depth is like recontextualizing moments or like characters and how we see them. So we talked about it with Isabella, but and how she was like she basically says, I was going to get married for the family. I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for the family. And then when we meet Bruno, everyone thinks that Bruno ran away because he didn't care about the family, and that's why no one talks about him. But Bruno is a hero in my book because he ran away to protect the little girl. He left the family because he knows what he had dealt with it up until a point. Like he brings it up where he says, at some point, people misconstrue my predictions with me making it happen. And so, because that constantly happened, he knew what the town would do if they read his prediction as it related to Maribel. So he said, I'm just gonna leave, and he did that to protect a little girl that didn't even know that that's why he did it for, and didn't even find out until years later. And so, to me, in that one little moment, like that's a really great example of how you can immediately endear the audience to a character without needing to like spend 30 minutes getting to know a character. At the moment you find out that he did that for her, all of a sudden he's immediately a lovable and likable character because he made a sacrifice for our main character and she didn't even know about it at the time. So like I really like how Bruno is handled as a character, and I like how his relationship is another thing that's kind of explored in the movie when with his mother when he shows up at the end and his mother like hugs him and holds him and brings him back and he gets to see his sisters again.
Yeah, it's very much a character film, like I mentioned earlier, and I think they really are spot on about how much time they want to spend on certain things, like where they linger on things, but they're also very concise in other parts, because they don't need to get the story. They get the story across, and then they hit the exact right points to really develop and like make you feel for the characters.
Yeah, 100%. And then as far as Maribel as a leading character, I enjoyed her too. Like she's a very lovable, likable character. You feel for her right away because she doesn't have a gift like everybody else. So once again, we're talking about being immediately endeared into a character. She's really sweet. You see how she connects with Antonio underneath the bed, and then when he like wants to walk with her, but he needs her to do it, and she's like, I don't want to, but he's like, hey, I need you, and then she does it. Like she is a character that is fun to explore the movie with. I laughed my butt off when the toucan shows up and is like exploring with her, and then she goes into like the dark place by like about to go in there by himself, and then like the cut is just the toucan just flying away. Like, nope, I'm not doing it. It's amazing. But so yeah, and she she has love for the family. When she gets into the argument with the grandmother, like you understand where her frustration is coming from because you've seen everything that she's been doing. So for the grandmother to accuse her of not loving the family and to accuse Bruno of not loving the family, to see Maribel stand up for her grandmother to her grandmother, even though it results in catastrophe, is such a great moment, and I love that scene so much.
And she really says like what you want to say at, like, as an audience, right? Because you've been feeling this the whole time from the grandmother, the entire film, where she's just completely blaming Maribel for everything. Complete opposite of Turning Red, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
but like everything she does is wrong, and then you can just see like over time how, the fact that the grandmother's just trying to kind of control everyone and like put up this facade of how the family is perfect, and she's just trying to hold it all together, but in doing so she's making it fall apart. Like, Bruno exiled himself, and then she's kind of pushing Maribel to doing that same thing. And I kind of think it's interesting how that parallels with the idea of Bruno having prophecies, where it kind of does that thing where, like, the prophecy, and so you act on it, and by acting on it you make it come true. So it's kind of like that kind of thing where they just kind of neatly go side by side in relation to each other. I
Yeah.
do think it's a
It,
domino effect. Like, you try so hard to do one thing or prevent something from happening that you make it happen.
right. No, exactly. And it's just kind of, yeah, if you didn't know, would it still happen, or is it supposed to be the thing of you knowing gives you the tools to prevent it? And in the case of this movie, both happen. The tragedy still happens, but they're also able to recover from it. And
Mm-hmm.
so I really enjoyed that. The one question I have now that just popped in my head while we were talking is, I actually don't understand the significance of the butterfly, because I don't remember the butterfly actually leading to anything or having or doing anything after everything went to crap.
I mean, it was in the vision, and then that vision of the butterfly landing on like a grass leaf, it
Hmm.
happened at the end after um, Maribel and her grandmother reconciled their differences.
Right,
So
but it wasn't the thing of like her having to follow the butterfly or anything. It was just kind of trying to show that this will get
was supposed
better
to
or something.
happen. No, I think it
Okay.
was just to show that it was like a marker to show that what happened was supposed to happen.
Mm,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah.
just real quick,
Yeah.
the other interesting thing that I thought about like the whole visions with Bruno is I feel like, or at least how I interpreted it, was when Maribel met Bruno, it kind of felt like she was meeting a future, or she was like seeing a vision of her future, being an outcast and like having to live the life that he's living unless she makes a conscious decision to do something else. So I thought that was another cool play on it, little hidden um, symbolism there.
Absolutely. And the last thing I wanted to say about Bruno was that he's the one voice I recognized immediately. Just as soon as he started talking for a couple of minutes, I was like, "Oh, that's John Leguizamo," and I love John Leguizamo. So that's another way to make me immediately like your characters. You get John Leguizamo to play him.
Yeah. Plus, it was funny when like we first met him, and he's like trying to save her from falling in that dark pit, but it was like a foot off the ground.
Right? But I also got so mad at her. I'm like, you dropped me. You dropped me because you saw a rat. You dropped me. If this wasn't like 2 feet, I'd be dead because you dropped me. So mad.
Yeah. Another funny part I thought was when Antonio like popped in on the two of them when they were talking, and the jaguar was about to eat the rats, and he was like, "Don't eat that," or "Don't eat those."
And Jack was just like, oh.
That was cute.
Yeah, and like I, the movie got me emotionally at the end when I was it completely caught me off guard. Like I was with it, I was loving it when they were building the house and everything else like that, but I didn't really start to feel a thing until they said there's only one part that's left, and they handed her the doorknob and it had, with her initial on it, and it was like, holy crap, they gave her a door. She never had her own door, and now she has the door to the house. And I was like, that's awesome. And then Antonio walked with her the way that she walked with him at the beginning, and I was like, you guys just brought this full circle. And I at that point I was like, yeah, there's no way I can't love this movie.
Yeah, I really love that kid. He's such a good actor. Like he's such a good side character that you never really give much thought to because he's a younger kid. And he doesn't
Right.
really add anything to the story. He just kind of he adds character to the film. And I think that's why he's such a cool character. He's not a driving force to the plot. He's just kind of there to give more substance to the
Mm-hmm.
story. One of the scenes with him that really stood out to me was when he was hiding under the bed and he was like nervous
Yeah.
about like not getting a door, just like Mirabelle. And like the one person that he's talking to is Mirabelle, and she's supposed to be the one that comforts him to give him that confidence that he will get a gift, even though she didn't. And if like I
Yeah.
was a kid, I'd be like, "Well, you didn't get it. How am I supposed to know? Like now, I'm just afraid that there's a chance that I won't get it. How is she supposed to, give me that confidence?" But she
Mm-hmm.
does, and I thought that relationship and that whole scene between the two of them, where she's able to like put um, herself aside to be a support to him. Like it would be so easy to just be like, everything sucks. I didn't get a gift. I'm the only one. I'm outcast. I'm worthless, kind of thing. But she never does that. She always tries to, find the light in her situation, even with her grandma blaming everything on her.
That's true. I don't think Maribel actually complains about her situation, like to everybody else. Like she doesn't complain about it to her sisters or anything. Not like even. I mean, they. She talks about it with her mom, but she never like really gets like depressed or goes in on the fact that she doesn't like have a gift and like, oh, woe is me. She doesn't do that, and I didn't even think about it, but I think you're right. Like that also kind of adds to the strength of that character and why she's so likable.
Yeah, and they really put her down too. Like at the beginning when the guy shows up and he gives her a not special special.
Right, and then her cousin just tells everybody when she's like actively trying to avoid telling everyone that she doesn't have a gift, and the cousin just comes by and is like, "Oh, she doesn't have
She
one," and
doesn't
then
have
walks away.
one.
I was like,
Yeah.
That's some family mess that families do, but mm.
Yeah, they really put her down. Like that's raising the stakes right there. In a character
Right,
film.
exactly. So I can't believe it, but this is like another one that just completely caught me off guard and that I was really happy to experience. I basically there's so much to talk about with this movie, but I feel like I said most of what I wanted to bring up. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up?
No, there's this just one thing that kind of threw me off a little bit was just when that candle was going out at the beginning, or like when the house was falling apart, and
And then it looks fine.
well, no, Maribel was trying to get to the candle. Like everyone was trying to get to the candle, and she finally does get to it. And she's like asking Casita, the house, to help her get to the candle. And
Hmm.
the whole time I was just like, how come the house doesn't just bring the candle
Give me the candle.
down? Because it can do a lot of things, but okay, I'll just let that little plot hole go, I guess.
Hey, hey, that house was working overtime to save everybody. Like, you know, Flower Elsa almost died, and like the house caught her, and then the kid who could shapeshift also almost died, and the house saved him, and then even Maribel almost died, and the house saved Maribel. So, yo, that house was working overtime to keep that family safe, and the house got everybody out out of harm's way. Plus, the house was also crumbling. So,
And dying,
I give the
yeah,
house a
okay.
little bit of credit.
It just seemed like it would have been easier if it was like, wait, everyone stop, let me just deliver the candle to you safely.
Right? I think my biggest question is how all the magic comes back at the end of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think those things were really meant to. So whenever you have magic involved in a movie, I feel like the rules kind of just get thrown around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where I don't really need an explanation, especially since it's at the end.
Yeah.
It
It's
didn't
supposed to be a
really
happy
bother
ending.
me. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it just felt like I didn't quite understand why Maribel didn't get a gift. That's a big question that I had because like usually when something like that happens, it's for a reason, and it's like
Yeah.
a decision that was made by like whatever
The powers or whatever.
power, like whatever makes the decisions of the gifts
Mhm.
had to have done it for a reason, and no reason was ever given. It's just kind of something that happened, um, and then that became like a cause or like a domino effect into like why Bruno had a vision. So you would think ultimately it had to happen because Mirabelle was supposed to somehow like save the family, but then there's no
Mhm.
outside driving force that's making that conscious decision that that's the path that like the reason why she was specifically chosen not to get a gift is because she is being tasked with something unbeknownst to her. So
Right.
I feel like that was missing for me. I just needed a reason for her to not have a gift because otherwise it's just kind of unfair.
Right. I think the only thing that I could come up with is that her not getting a gift was the first instance of the house losing its power. And then that's like sets the domino effect of everyone realizing that the house is losing its power. And I guess for whatever reason you can only do the ritual once or something. Like that's what I don't really understand. But I I can I can contend with the idea that maybe the reason Maribel didn't get a door, despite the fact the door was there, was because the magic was starting to leave the house, and she just happened to be like the first one that got to suffer because of that.
Yeah, I just wish that there was a little bit more solid explanation to it. So that's just, I think
Yeah.
that's the only thing that really bothered me besides the candle thing. But it's just that one little missing piece for like the movies because it just bothered me. Like, why? It just felt
Yeah.
unfair, and I feel like it needed some kind of explanation, like a just to give a reason for everything in the movie that happened to have happened, and I think that was missing.
Nope, you're right though. Like usually it's some type of grand design that is necessary. Like Maribel needed to not have powers in order to set something in motion that would save the family. But it's
Exactly.
never made clear like that's the reason she didn't get her powers.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%, I get you. But yeah, so that's Encanto, everybody. Like that's how we felt about it. We really enjoyed the movie, but what did you guys think about it? Did you have problems with it? Kind of similar to some of the things that Cheryl picked up on. Did you enjoy the songs? What was your favorite song? Who is your favorite character? Whatever you thought about it, comment below. Let us know. And while you're down there, if you give us a like, share, and subscribe. Even if you don't, though, I have been Chris, and this has been
Cheryl, and we'll see you all next time.